All right, Shalom. Before I get started, I want to give all glory, honor, and praise to Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai Bahashem Makar HaKodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders at GMS who taught me this word. Peace, honor, and respect to you brothers that's out there laboring, edifying, rightly dividing the word. Truth and sincerity. Shalom to you believers out there. The Aki and Akwath. All right. And what I want to speak on is the chariots. All right, and as we know, because we've been blessed with this to come into this marvelous light. So, we in the know who have been illuminated on the right hand side. Okay, we know that when they say UAP or UFO, they're speaking about the chariots of the Lord. All right, which the chariots are on a high level. And I was trying to find a video. I got a couple videos I'm going to go through, and then I'm going to, go through the precepts. All right. But I was trying to find that video where the guy was like, compared to the chariots, the U.S. Air Force, all of their best equipped flying, fighter jets, whatever. The chariots are 100 to 1,000 years past their technology. And I'm leaning towards more 1,000 years. But, that's the power of Yahweh Bashem Yahushua, man. And when I was going through these videos, I was getting hype in the spirit because it's like when they was explaining what they saw and how they maneuver and things that they do, I'm just like, man, precepts start coming to mind, and I was just getting hyped because this is this is the Air Force of Israel, of the true biblical Israelites. All right, because everybody got an Air Force, they got a Navy, an Army, and the true Israelites, we don't have none of that. All right, it's war going on in Israel right now. Those people that's in the land, all of the, because Israel is spread around as the sand of the sea, but I'm talking about those small hats, the true small hats, the true so-called Jewish people. Those are not the people. All right, hence why it's war over there in that land. All right, and they only talk about Jews, which that's the tribe of Judah, and it's 11 other tribes, but that's another lesson for another day. What I want to get into is the chariots. All right, aka the UFOs, aka the UAPs, not what they calling them. And I'm gonna go through some videos. Like I said, I'm gonna get some precepts.
You're gonna need a smaller cabinet.
Lord willing, to be edifying, but I was just getting excited, listening.
Here on this, Chris,
because I'm like, man, the Lord really gonna, when Yahushua pull up and Michael and the heavenly hosts, hey, it ain't gonna be no games played, man. All right, Esau and all of these heathen armies, they're going to be done. And I'm going to get that too. So let's just take a listen.
Major developments in the investigation of UFOs over the past few weeks that could lead us to full-scale disclosure over the next few weeks. We are really, I think, at a tipping point, an inflection point, where we are with the United States Senate, where we are with the United States House of Representatives, the Pentagon investigating UFOs. Will we actually see physical evidence that they will show us? We know they've got it. Will they actually finally reveal it to the American people and to the world? We've got a great guest on the show today. Christopher Sharp is the editor-in-chief over at Liberation Times, who's been doing some fantastic reporting on this subject for quite a while. I've been a big fan of his work, and we're thrilled to have him here on the show to talk about all things UFOs and bring us up to speed on all of this. Christopher, welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you for having me, Clayton. It's a true honor. I'm a huge fan of you as well. So, yeah, thank you so much.
Well, my pleasure. I've been loving your work. I think you do a fantastic job really diving into the nuances and the details around a subject that is very, very tricky and fairly complicated. We've had a very interesting summer as we've been watching what's been unfolding with Ukraine and everything that's been happening with China. And maybe lost in the weeds has been one of perhaps the biggest stories of all time. I don't know that there is a bigger story in the universe than the fact that we could be moving closer to disclosure in the United States and maybe beyond. So I wanted to have you on to bring our audience up.
And you see, he said the biggest, story. And instantly what came to mind was basically Jeremiah 16, Wisdom of Solomon 5, which I'm going to grab that. Just the perfect time to segue to that. Now, when you get cause see they stooped, man. Now, let me throw this out here. The elites, they got information. They found some things. They know some things more than the average Joe. But they all stooped, man. They all shook, man. And the Lord is, as you're gonna see in these videos, he toying with Esau. All right, because it's a whole bunch of sightings that happen around like new U.S. Navy bases, and the Navy always catching it. It's funny. All right, so he said the biggest story, right? See, it's strange to them, but we know what it is. The Wadi Habashim Roshah. All right, so when you go to Jeremiah chapter 16, all right, starting at 14, it says, "Therefore, behold, the days come, saith the Lord, that it shall no more be said, the Lord liveth that brought up the children of Israel out of the land of Egypt. But the Lord liveth that brought up the children of Israel from the land of the north and from all the lands whither he had driven them, and I will bring them again into their land that I give unto their fathers." See, and when we was taken out of Egypt, okay, that was, man, that was a great power and mighty, awesome and mighty work, okay, which spread the Lord got fame from that, okay. Even when you go to what's that, Joshua, when when Rahab, okay, she was like, we heard about what the Lord did for y'all, and it made the men afraid. All right, roughly paraphrasing. All right, the fame of the Lord just grew after that. So right here is telling you that, therefore behold the days come, saith the Lord, that it shall no more be said. So with this Exodus, okay, it's gonna outweigh the great and powerful work of Egypt. They're gonna be talking about like, man, they was in UFOs, man, listen, this is what's gonna be it's saying it right here, all right, that it shall no more be said, the Lord liveth that brought up the children of Israel out of the land of Egypt, but the Lord liveth that brought up the children of Israel from the land of the north and from all the lands whither he had driven them. All right, and we already know Israel was scattered, all right, different captivities. That was one of the curses. All right, when they say the land of Egypt, they're not talking about Egypt. They're talking about, okay, America, which is what? Spiritually known as Sodom, okay, in Egypt. See? All right. And see, when you go to Wisdom of Solomon, the 5th chapter, it says what? Starting at 1, then shall the righteous man stand in great boldness before the face of such as have afflicted him and made no accounts of his labors. When they see it, all right, this is the point. When they see it, they shall be troubled with terrible fear. All right. And shall be amazed at the strangeness of his salvation, so far beyond all that they look for. See, and this is going to be a strange work. All right, they're going to be amazed, just like right now they're amazed. They fear. They're in fear right now. Like, what is this? You got the average Joe think it's aliens. Okay, we know it's not aliens. We know it's the angels in them chariots, man. We know ultimately everything, all roads lead to the Heavenly Father, of course. And then Yahweh Shah, okay? Yahweh Shah, the Heavenly Father through Yahweh Shah, okay? And you got the heavenly hosts, all right? The eyes of the Lord, okay? The angels, the messengers, okay? Who are in them chariots. And see, this is going to be a strange salvation, all right? When we get to the land We're going to get to the land in chariots. Okay? That's how the Lord going to gather his people. You see what I'm saying? Let's go back.
Up to speed on some of your reporting, and one of the most recent pieces that you did in Liberation Times is around the Senate's move on the Intelligence Committee and criticizing the Pentagon. So let's unpack this story a little bit and dive into some of the details. Where are we right now with the Senate moving forward with UFO investigation?
So at the moment we've got so firstly what we've had years of briefings behind the scenes with committees such as the intelligence committees, the House and the Senate, and armed services committees. So, I mean, it's been a long time coming to what stage we're at the moment. But recently we've had the draft, versions of the Intelligence Authorization Act and National Defense Authorization Act 2023, containing some really, really provocative kind of language in there, criticizing the Department of Defense for slow progress on investigating unidentified aerial phenomena, mostly in this is from behind the scenes. What I'm getting here is that this frustration that there's a lack of determination as to the origin of these craft that seem to kind of outmaneuver and defy the laws of physics. And
Define the laws of physics. All right, you're going to hear in these different videos how they speak about the chariots, man. And this is what got me hype in the spirit. And I'm pretty sure you brothers and sisters get hype in the spirit as well when you hear these type of videos, all right? Because that lets you know the level, all right? And they ain't seen nothing yet, you know? The Lord is basically toying with them. You see how China over there doing drills in over there in Taiwan? Okay, he doing drills by time. Well, the Lord, he doing his certain drills, okay? And they ain't seen nothing yet because the Lord could really open up, you know. He just really toying with them, in my opinion.
That's one major concern. And
can I drill in on that Pentagon piece? Because I think this is really interesting. Maybe people don't know, and maybe our audience doesn't know this, that, you know, you have Congress on the one hand, and correct me if I'm wrong, really working towards their own investigatory model, right? So they're going to be moving towards investigating these craft under their own sort of auspices. And then on the other side, you have the Pentagon that was sort of sticking its neck into all of this, saying, no, we got it. We're running the show. But now you have the Senate, which is actually kind of pissed that the Pentagon is not moving quickly enough on this. Am I right on that, or am I dumbing it down too much?
That's correct, yes. So last year, what happened is that there was some draft legislation in the National Defense Authorization Act, which would create a UFO office, otherwise known as Unidentified Aerial Phenomena, and that was going to be really, really widespread in terms of its remit in investigating these unknown craft. But as that language was kind of being drafted, out of nowhere from the DoD comes this new office called, as they call it, AIMSOG, and that really, really pissed politicians off, from my understanding, just due to its timing, and also the scope wasn't as extensive as the Senate would like it to be, and also the fact that it would only investigate stuff in the airspace, whereas we know that these craft are known to be transmedium, hence why it's now called as unidentified aerospace undersea phenomena. But yeah, that's where it really starts.
That's a big piece of it, right? The underwater craft. We certainly saw that with the USS Nimitz footage, right, where you see this craft hovering above the water and then suddenly disappears into the water. And when
so you see, they fly and then they go underwater, and you're gonna hear this again in another video. See, it's no limit to Yahweh Bahashem Yahushua, man. All right, Esau have limits, Moab got limits, Ishmael got limits, Elam got limits. The rest of you heathens, y'all got limits to y'all aircrafts. But the Lord has no limits. All right. And they shook. They really is shook. All right. That's why they created the Space Force. Okay. When Trump was in office, and they got information. They got stuff that they ain't released. I believe it. They got stuff that they probably collected and know. I believe that. But it's still an element of them being shook, and it's an element of what they don't know. Okay.
You have 70% of the earth covered in water. It only stands to reason that there should be more. And I would love to hear information from the Navy, submarine witness. We always think about the aircraft. I've spoken to Marine Corps pilots. I've spoken to a number of pilots who talk about these craft having these UFOs trailing their jets, that they don't talk about them. And I would love to hear more from nuclear, submarine operators on this. I'm curious on that piece. You have a lot of interesting sources on this. Have you heard from in the British side, in the United States side, from the naval underwater UFO witnesses? Have you heard about more of that detail?
No, but that's probably one of the most troubling aspects of it. And there's an understandable silence as well, because Tom Rogan of the Washington Examiner has previously reported that DoD officials are very, very concerned about this aspect of the phenomena, because they seem to know where nuclear submarines are. And it's also
let's go
been
back.
this aspect of the phenomena, because they seem to know where nuclear submarines are.
And they know where all y'all stuff at. That's the thing, Esau. They know. They got y'all on the scope. See, and and the Chariots been scoping Esau out. I mean, the Lord. This script was wrote before the foundations of the earth. But see, as we get closer to the end, the Lord is making the Chariots be more visible to spook Esau as well. All right. It's a war tactic. It's a strategy, and when your opponent is around, like I said, why you think China doing drills in front of Taiwan? It's like it's like puffing up against your enemy. You start showing all what you got. You holding stuff back, but you showing them some of your power and your might, and they're really doing it on a low level, I believe, because they haven't fired at them or nothing like that. The Chariots just fly, disappear, and do things of that nature. They ain't really like shot a plane down or nothing, or, to make themselves seem real, like they're a real threat, because then Esau will go into panic mode. But, hey, they still somewhat in panic mode, man. It's funny. Every time I see their face and see and look, it's funny.
And it's also been reported as well, rumored, let's say, that the Chinese and the Russians have also captured craft, and there's a secret race behind the scenes to back engineer this technology. So if China could back engineer the capability to identify underwater nuclear assets, then that's really game over. That means.
And it's not China or Russia, man. Okay, China or Russia don't have this technology. They're not gonna have this technology. All right, they might have something, but when it comes down to it, China, Russia, America, all y'all is an enemy to Yahweh Shem Yahushua. All of y'all will be destroyed. All of your armies is gonna be destroyed, and I'm gonna get that. Okay, so it's not going to be China pulling up in chariots or Russia and they doing secret. No, you know what I'm saying? No, they're not going to have this technology, man.
That the Chinese or the Russians or anyone else could potentially launch a first strike against the United States with no repercussions, perhaps.
This is, to me, the most important piece of this is the reverse engineering piece. Maybe not the most important, but one of the most interesting aspects. And it's also the people that were involved in these programs of reverse engineering. We've heard about their lives being destroyed when they've published.
So they're going to go into, I'm going to cut this video and go to the next one. They was about to go into reverse. Wait, what did
spoken
he
about
say?
the most interesting aspects, and it's also the people that were involved in these programs of reverse engineering. This is, to me, the most important piece of this is the reverse engineering piece.
Reverse engineering, like meaning when they capture something, then they, build it, they study it, then they build it, then they have the technology to come against us. No. All right, then they was gonna start going into aliens and things. And we already know it's not aliens. All right, so now the next one I want to get into is this video.
Meet the new Google Pixel 6a, the more affordable Google phone that adapts to you.
Washington State has logged more reports of
Now
unidentified.
you see the title. Washington a hotbed for UFO sightings. Why is that? Because Washington is the capital, okay, the city state, okay, and like I said, Yahweh Shem Yahushua, he's basically bringing it to him. He's not shying away from Esau Edom. He not worried about Esau Edom. He going right. He not, the chariots be everywhere pulling up, but it's a hotbed around, the Navy and all where their military at. Why is that? Because the Lord is going to go to war. He going to bring that war to Esau. Okay, and he gonna bring that war. When I say Esau, not just America, you Russians. He gonna bring the war to all you heathens. The Lord ain't worried about none of y'all, man, and what y'all got, cause he the one that gave y'all the mind to build all technology on planet Earth. You mere mortals don't do nothing on your own. Esau is not as smart as he think he is. Moab, you not as smart as you think you is. All right. you guys is nothing, man. You worms. All right. You worms, man. And the Lord is gonna bring that work, that heat. He's gonna bring the drama to y'all. He gonna pull up. All right. And it ain't gonna be nothing y'all can do. That's why I said in 2nd Ezra 13th chapter, they were scared, but yet there's fight. Because the Lord gonna put the spirit on y'all to fight just to get mollywopped, all right? Just to get smashed, man. And I'm going to get that. But see, Washington a hotbed because the Lord is bringing it. He pulling up. He ain't pulling up just on, average Edomite, no. He pulling up where y'all armies at. Okay? They got the drop on y'all, basically. That's what you were saying in the hood. You got the drop on the nigga. You know what I'm saying? He been had the drop on y'all, man. Because, like I said, the technology, the ICBMs, the geeks in the lab, all of that, the Lord gave y'all the technology, all right? He gave y'all the mind to create a spacecraft, a missile, a gun, to have a war strategy. The Lord give you the mind for those things, all right?
Flying objects per capita than any other state in the country. That's according to data from the National UFO Reporting Center. You'd think they're the authority on it.
Than any other state in the country, man. All right. 6,800. All right.
Washington residents have reported at least 6,812 UFO sightings. The earliest ones report back to the 1940s. The National UFO Reporting Center is based in Washington, another sign that the state is truly the place to be to spot ET. Chris Rutkowski, a science writer who specializes in UFOs. He's the author of Canada's UFOs Declassified. Joining us on the show, Chris, I've been looking forward to this segment from the second I found out you were booked. UAPs, as we call them now, have been in the news a ton lately. So why are so many popping up in the Pacific Northwest, around Washington and California out there?
Well, that's a really good question. No question. California has twice the number of UFOs.
Now, they might be talking about Washington on the West Coast. Now that I'm thinking about it, because they didn't say Washington, D.C. But see, when you go into it, the Lord is around a lot of their naval bases, man. Okay? He's around. We gonna see.
As Washington State, although per capita Washington State beats them out. It's hard to say exactly why Washington seems to have more, although it is related to population, and yet we have so many fewer in Washington State, so many fewer in
Now, that's what I want to go into. So California, You see all of this is the sightings by the Pentagon. You see Virginia, Florida, California. I'm not sure if they talking about Washington. I doubt it they talking about D.C. because they would have put D.C. They said Washington State. Either way, you see. Okay? And these are all Navy, USS Omaha, USS Theodore Roosevelt. All right, those Navy aircraft, those Navy crafts, naval crafts, and things of that nature. Okay, because I seen a video some time ago where it said you see the sightings at a lot of naval bases. Okay.
California per capita than Washington State. It's a mystery, and this is what drives us to try and understand the phenomenon even more. We don't have all the answers, and that's why we're investigating.
Oh, man, we're looking at some of the most popular sightings confirmed by the Pentagon, some of the real head scratchers that have been coming out in this recent push for disclosure lately. People seem to be really interested about this phenomenon. Listen to Scott Bray. This is the Deputy Director of National Intelligence talking about it.
Given the nature of our business, national defense, we've had to sometimes be less forthcoming with information in open forums than many would hope. If UAP do indeed represent a potential threat to our security, then the capabilities, systems, processes, and sources we use to observe, record, study, or analyze these phenomena need to be classified at appropriate levels.
Okay, let's take away the legalese, Chris. Do you think Congress ever gets to the bottom of what the government and government officials really know about this phenomenon?
Well, it would be nice if they would. This isn't actually the first congressional investigation into UFOs. Gerald Ford, back in 1966, before he was president, had suggested and pushed for a congressional investigation, and that actually occurred in 1968. And a number of scientists testified before Congress. It was taken quite seriously back then. Unfortunately, during the 1960s, the United States Air Force had something called Project Blue Book. We've probably heard of that. Well, the year after the congressional investigation of 68, Project Blue Book was closed down. So let's hope that this time it turns out a little bit differently.
Chris, let's say it's not weather phenomenon. Let's go ahead and pop the weather balloons. We're talking about the real deal sightings, the one the Pentagon has been talking about a lot lately. There's been a few of them. What do you think, in your research, in what you've read and written, do you think these things are from Earth? Are we alone, Chris?
Well, as an astronomer, I'd have to say we're probably not alone, but the trouble is we don't have the real proof yet. And the idea behind the UAP task force and the new office that was just recently announced is to try and gather data, to try and get this information. And the only way to do that is get the reports.
All right, 88 in Washington, 39 in California. All right, they out there they on the West Coast pulling up, man. You know, I thought it was D.C., which they have had some sightings out there, but I thought it was really D.C., but hey, it's Washington State, man. It's, hey. I'm gonna do some further research to see what's out there in D.C., man. I mean, what's out there in Washington State. And we not alone, all right? You know, those are the angels, man. Okay? They're not little green men, aliens. No, that's Esau, you know, mocking the angels. All right? Which, you know, he's gonna have he's gonna get what's coming to him, all right? Let me see. Hold on, I'm looking up something. Just bear with me.
Investigations that are currently ongoing. They've tried to eliminate the stigma from pilots and military personnel to report them. They've been a little afraid so far to report, and so they're actually encouraging military personnel to report now, which is a very good thing. And the only way we can really get to the bottom of this is by high quality reports from pilots who, for example, have 5,000 to 10,000 hours of flying time. If they see something in the sky, it's time to take notice.
No one is more hated than he
All right,
who
that's
speaks.
the end of that video. All right, so I want to get this one.
We have visual of 4 probable unidentified drones with course unknown and speed unknown. Contacts are operating at a range of 1,000 yards and holding.
Unknowns. The U.S. Navy claims these are drones. They said they did an investigation. One reporter, though, says the Navy isn't telling the truth about this video of 100 flying objects close to the USS Omaha off San Diego. As you heard on the July 15th radio calls back in 2019,
So you see Navy warships swarmed by 100 plus UFOs, man. That's 100 Chariots by Navy warships. Matter of fact, this precept came to mind right here. Matter of fact, hold on, before I get that.
sailors had no idea what they were seeing. Documentary filmmaker Jeremy Corbell reports the drone stayed at 21,000 feet for hours, and the Navy's anti-drone weapon systems didn't touch them. Jeremy is here, who continues to break so many of these UFO encounters. The Navy says they haven't figured out, though, it's drones.
Right. So that is either a lack of imagination or they just weren't given the briefing, because I have spoken with more of the people directly involved than any other intelligence agency, including the Navy's. And how do I know that? Because my witnesses have told me so. So I kind of have a direct line to the information, and they were wrong. We're not going to debate the term drone. Whatever they were unknown.
All right. So what do your witnesses say that make these so different than anything else that we've encountered?
Right. Well, the main thing that is, where did they launch from? Where did they land? How did they have duration? How did they organize over 100 units surrounding 10 of our Navy warships and just disappear?
You see what he said? You see all of what he said? Where did they launch from? How did they do this? Because that's the power of the Lord. And now I want to get it. When you go to it's always funny to me when I hear them. When you go to Isaiah 31:5, it says, as birds flying, so will the Lord of hosts defend Jerusalem. Defending also, he will deliver it, and passing over, he will preserve it. See, as birds flying, that's over 100. You know, you see a flock of birds, you know, they all in formation. And you kind of marvel, like, man, all them birds, you might see them and just, they all in a order. Okay, and that's what that guy was saying. Like, how is they doing this? Okay, it's matter of fact, I got another one. When you go to Deuteronomy, let me see if I want to get that one first. Yep. When you go to Deuteronomy 33, all right, starting at verse 26, it says, there is none like unto the Most High of Jeshurun, and that's Yashawan, meaning the upright one. That's a nickname for Israel. All right, there is none like unto the Most High of Jeshurun, who rideth upon the heaven in thy help, and his excellency on the sky. Okay. The eternal God, the eternal power is thy refuge, and underneath are the everlasting arms, and he shall thrust out the enemy from before thee and say, destroy them. See? And when that time comes, that's what's going to happen, man. He's going to say, who? Destroy who? Esau, Elam, Ishmael, Moab, Ammon, all of you heathens, man, is going to be destroyed, man. All right. Let me get another one. When you go to Psalms, when you go to Psalms 104, I'm gonna start at the top. It says, bless the Lord, O my soul, O Lord, my power. Thou art very great. Thou art clothed with honor and majesty, who coverest thyself with the light as with the garment, who stretches out the heavens like a curtain. See, this the power, man. Who layeth the beams of his chambers in the waters, who maketh the clouds his chariot, who walketh upon the wings of the wind. See? And these, that we gonna go back, but it's just amazing. It's always hype in the spirit when I hear them talking about the chariots, to let you know the power, the glory, that the chariots that Yahweh Hashem Yahushua gonna come in, that Yahushua, he gonna pull up, man. It already said how he gonna pull up in his power and majesty, okay? Every eye shall see him.
A single one, any other intelligence agency, including the Navy's. And how do I know that? Because my witnesses have told me so. So I kind of have a direct line to the information, and they were wrong. We're not going to debate the term drone. Whatever they were unknown.
All right, so what do your witnesses say that make these so different than anything else that we've encountered?
Right. Well, the main thing that is, where did they launch from? Where did they land? How did they have duration? How did they organize over 100 units surrounding 10 of our Navy warships and just disappear? Not a single one found. But it's more than just witnesses saying things. I provided the footage you're showing on the screen right now. All of those pieces of corroborative visual evidence showing craft that seem to be transmedium, being able to go into the water now.
So the Navy...
And as you hear, he said the same thing the other guy said. They're transmedium, meaning they can go in the water, they can fly. Okay, the chariots, let's be real. The chariots can do a lot of other things, okay? Okay, I believe, they're not even scratching the surface, man. All right? That's why I say the Lord is basically just toying with them, sending the chariots, letting them know, hey, we on the way. When we come for real, y'all gonna be through.
He put out a track that says a number of these encounters were from ships that perhaps were Chinese in origin or had Chinese ties, and they were using...
And you see they keep wanting to refer to the Chinese because, it's a myth that they think the Asians, Chinese, Moab is so smart, all right? But no, he has limitations. And Moab don't have this technology, man. This is technology that's beyond this realm, all right? It's the technology of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua, man, all right? And Moab, little worm ass, is nowhere near on the level. Nobody's nowhere near on the level, all right? But especially a damn heathen, all right?
Commercially available drones to harass and chase U.S. Navy vessels. I see you shaking your head there.
Yeah. So that is not only false information, it's verifiably false information.
And you see, he said, no, that ain't China.
From their own documents. To give you an example, that ship you're talking about was called Bass Strait. And that ship was in port during the majority of these drone incursions. So that false narrative has been propagated by subpar journalism all the way up to news. I mean, it's pretty crazy. So I'm writing the record, I'm throwing punches back and making sure people get relevant and real and actual data.
So what would be the Navy's motivation in this? Is it incompetence or is it conspiracy?
Well, first of all, everybody in our Navy are very confident. This is a very difficult situation. We don't know where these came from. We don't know the controllers of these units.
And that's why we're blessed to know. We know where they come from. We know they come from the heavens, all right, from Yahweh Hashem Yahushua. All right, and see, the elite Esau, they know this as well, okay, but they're not going to put that out there, okay? But the average Joe Schmo, they don't know. They don't have a clue. They know a little something, but they don't have a clue. And that's why, we got to thank our Lord for bringing us into this marvelous light, okay?
This is just one of many of these types of swarm events globally. So it's not a matter of incompetence. Everybody's on the same team here, but we need to identify the fact that we don't know. And then from there, we can start fixing the problem.
Do we really believe, though, that they don't know? Or do we believe that they know and either it's a secret U.S. program or a secret Chinese program, and they just don't want us to know that they know, as if we had found the B-2 bomber before the world knew about it?
Look, I wish that were true. I really do wish that were true. Verifiably, it is not true. We don't know who are controlling these.
And you heard what he said. Do you really believe that they don't know? And the answer is the elites know what's going on because, they know about the prophecies, okay? They have, diligently searched the scriptures, okay? So they know, to an extent, okay, that this is from the heavens, all right? But the average person, they don't know. But the elites, they have classified information, all right? But they don't have the technology to match it because the Lord is not going to give them the technology to match with his technology. No, he gave Esau a certain amount of wits to come up with technology, but it's not on that level and nowhere near the level. Even though the technology right now of Esau and Moab is good on a carnal human level, but on a God level, no, it's nowhere near it. That's why that video I'm gonna try to find. He said compared to what we got, these UFOs, he said UFOs or UAPs are like 100 to 1,000 times more years more advanced than we are. See, then that's a far advancement. Okay. It's similar to what year we in, 2022. All right. And then you got somebody from 1922 that come, jump into 2022. All right. That's 100 years. They not gonna know what's going on. They gonna be like, whoa, what is that? They never seen a cell phone. All right. I don't even know if the TV was invented in the 1920s. I think they were still listening to the radio. Okay. The cars was just coming out, I believe, in the 20s, but not like the cars and trucks that you see now and the different things. You got cell phones, even if you brought out a beeper, and that's old, a cassette tape, a CD, the internet, a computer, things of those natures that we have. If somebody was to come from 1922, 100 years ago. So imagine 1,000 years ago. All right. So somebody from 1,000 years that was living, came in 2022, they would be, they would be like, what the hell? All right. That's why when you even read the scriptures, it's wrote according to what was going on in that time period. So when you hear words like arrows, okay, it wasn't missiles back then. But we know that those arrows is not talking about bow and arrows. No, they're talking about the missiles. See? Why? Because the scriptures was wrote thousands of years ago. So it wasn't missiles made. So they couldn't say, it's going to be the missiles. And plus, okay, we already know the Lord had this book wrote to keep the undesirables out. And so Esau, Edom, and the rest of these nations wouldn't really just toss the scriptures out. Because if it was wrote plain, then, the white man is going to get destroyed and all the then, the Bible would have been tossed out a long time ago. Okay. So it had to be wrote parabolically. All right. In dark sayings. But yeah.
How do we know that it's not some secret government program and that the Navy just is continuing to deny, cover up because it's indeed a secret program?
It's a great question. There are protocols that are in place for when our Navy engages something like a black project and you sign NDAs and you're not to talk about it again. That's not what happened. The head of the Navy.
See, that is a great question, but if you don't have understanding in the scriptures, you would ask these type of questions. But again, that's why we got to thank the Lord for bringing us into this marvelous light, okay, and being taught by men who he gave the understanding, all right, because now we don't have to ask these questions. If we see a chariot, we know, it's a chariot, We gonna be looking and we gonna get hyped, but we not gonna be in fear. We're not gonna be like, is those aliens coming to get us? No, whereas before you came into this truth, if you would have seen that, you might have thought it was an alien just based off how we was raised and brought up. what we seen in movies and things of that nature, you might have thought like, oh man, it's about to be an alien invasion, okay? But no, now we have this knowledge, and we know that it's the chariots of our Lord. All right.
Navy said that they're investigating this because they don't know whose they were. We shook down a bunch of boats trying to figure out where they came from. So it's not our black projects. That's ruled out, unfortunately. But somebody has this.
All right, I'm going to cut this video and go to this one because this is the
Hi,
one that.
my name is Alina, and I would like you to give you a few reasons
the
why
big
you should
one.
consider dating
It's the
a
big
young
one,
Slavic
Elizabeth,
lady. You
because
can
you got
choose
the
a
Navy
potential
pilots
spouse
that
from Ukraine,
recalling it, so
Russia,
they
and
actually
Belarus.
seen it up close and recalling their
Bill
story.
Whitaker on unidentified aerial phenomena.
This week on 60 Minutes, we reported on unidentified aerial phenomena, UAP, more commonly known as UFOs. The Pentagon says this night vision video was taken by Navy personnel and is being investigated. Unusual sightings like this one continue to occur and be captured on video. Last August, the Pentagon set up the UAP task force to collect and analyze evidence gathered by service members who are now being encouraged to report these strange encounters. We met two former Navy pilots, Lieutenant Commander Alex Dietrich and Commander Dave Fravor. In 2004, they witnessed something shocking, inexplicable, and seemingly out of this world. Did the thought of UFO enter your minds?
It was unidentified, and that's why it was so unsettling to us, because we weren't expecting it, because we couldn't classify it. But what I want to be really careful of here is that we don't jump to conclusions, right? That we don't sensationalize this or...
Little green men?
Yeah, little green men or extraterrestrial.
Yeah. You're seeing something that defies explanation.
Right.
Very much.
Yes.
It was November 2004, and the USS Nimitz Carrier Strike Group was training about 100 miles southwest of San Diego. The advanced new radar on a nearby ship, the USS Princeton, had detected what operators called multiple anomalous aerial vehicles over the horizon, descending 80,000 feet in less than a second. Fravor and Dietrich, each with a weapons system officer in the back seat, were ordered to investigate and found an area of whitewater in an otherwise calm blue sea. It appeared to them that an object about the size of a 737 was just under the water.
So, as we're looking at this, her backseater says, "Hey, Skipper, do you?" And about that got out, I said, "Dude, do you see that thing down there?" And we saw this little white tic-tac looking object, and it's just kind of moving above the whitewater area.
Do you ever drop your phone and it sort of bounces off the countertop and then bounces off something else, and it's sort of like no predictable movement, no predictable trajectory.
Yeah.
I guess. It was just
like a ping pong ball.
no
Just
acceleration.
very, very random.
Acceleration.
As Dietrich circled above, Fravor went in for a closer look. So you're sort of spiraling down?
Yep. The tic-tac's still pointing north-south. It goes and just turns abruptly and starts mirroring me. So as I'm coming down, it starts coming up.
So it's mimicking your moves.
Yeah, it was aware we were there. You want to see how close I can get. So I go like this, and it's climbing still. And when it gets right in front of me, it just disappears. Disappears.
Now you see, you see the Lord toying with these cats. And, you know, this is not happening on commercial flights and helicopters and things. No, this is being reported from Navy pilots, okay? The military. Why is that? Because the Lord is not shying away. He's gonna bring the drama to the military, man. Cause that's who's gonna fight. Okay, he not pulling up on a Spirit Airlines and just, you know. I mean, they might see it, but this is happening to these Navy pilots, man, and these Navy bases. All right.
Like gone.
Let me go back.
Yeah, it was aware we were. And just turns abruptly and starts mirroring me. So as I'm coming down, it starts coming up.
So it's mimicking your moves.
Yeah, it was aware we were there.
Now see, you see how the lady, she said random movement, right? All right. Now when you how the chariot was just moving, with them. All right, that's what they're gonna go into. So let me get it. When you go to Ezekiel chapter 1, all right, starting at verse 16, it says, the appearance of the wheels and their work was like unto the color of beryl, and they four had one likeness, and their appearance and their work was as it were a wheel in the middle of a wheel. Okay, and when you get when you go into a typical UFO, all right, let me see if I can. Now, they got many different things, but that typical UFO, you see that? You see that chariot right there in between the lady and the so-called aliens? All right, are we alone? And you see how, they don't understand. All right, they on a low level. But you see those eyes around about? Now watch this. A wheel, you see how that little circle in the middle, and then in the midst of the wheel. All right. So again, verse 16, it says, the appearance of the wheels and their work was like unto the color of beryl. All right. Matter of fact, let's go to it. Like the color of beryl. And they four had one likeness, and their appearance and their work was as it were a wheel in the middle of a wheel. You see the typical UFO. You see that? A wheel in the middle of a wheel. Okay. When they went upon their four sides, and they turned not when they went. As for their rings, they were so high that they were dreadful, and their rings were full of eyes round about them four. See? And you see those four little light bulbs per se, though, and you go back up here, you see how the eyes are? Those are the eyes, those lights. You see all those eyes? Those are lights. Okay? Those eyes, that's what they're talking about, which we believe is the windows of the chariots. Okay? All right. Verse 19, and when the living creatures went, the wheels went by them. All right. Speaking of the angels. And when the living creatures were lifted up from the earth, the wheels were lifted up. Whithersoever the spirit was to go, they went. Thither was their spirit to go. And the wheels were lifted up over against them, for the spirit of the living creature was in the wheel. See, the angels, is through the spirit driving those chariots, man. All right. That's why they don't know, man. The chariots on another level, because there are what's the word I'm looking for? They're driven by the heavenly hosts. All right. They have the spirit of the Lord on them. That's the technology of the greatest entity on ever. The Heavenly Father, man. Yahweh Bahashem Yahushua, man. All right. That's why when he explained them, like, we can't understand. They just doing this and doing, they go underwater, then they disappear, then they take off, and they go into this miles per hour a second. Okay. Verse 22, and the likeness of the firmament upon the heads of the living creatures was the color of the terrible crystal stretched forth over their heads. And under the firmament were their wings straight to one toward the other. Every one had two which covered on this side, and every one had two which covered on that side their bodies. And when they went, I heard the noise of their wings, like the noise of great waters, as the voice of the Almighty, the voice of speech, as noise of an host. When they stood, they let down their wings. And there was a voice from the firmament that was over their heads when they stood and had let down their wings. And above the firmament that was over their heads was the likeness of a throne, as the appearance of a sapphire stone. And upon the likeness of the throne was the likeness as appearance of a man above upon it. Okay, speaking about the Heavenly Father, man. And as I saw the color of amber, as the appearance of fire round about within, from the appearance of his loins even upward, and from the appearance of his loins even downward, I saw as it was the appearance of fire, and it had brightness round about it, as the appearance of the bow that is in the cloud in the day of rain. So was the appearance of the brightness round about. This was the appearance of the likeness of the glory of the Lord. So this is the aura of the Lord. See, and the Lord created these chariots, man. That's why they can do miraculous things and move, and they don't they don't have to turn and go another. They can just move. And when I saw it, I fell upon my face, and I heard a voice of one that spake. All right. So you see where the spirit went, the chariots went as well. All right. Because they're being piloted by the heavenly host, man.
Close I can get. So I go like this, and it's climbing still. And when it gets right in front of me, it just disappears. Disappears. Like gone.
And you saw no visible propulsion,
Right.
no
No.
wings or anything to
No.
make it fly in our atmosphere?
No, actually, when it turned and started coming up, it was kind of like, okay, because we have nothing that goes that fast and just starts climbing at will.
You see, we have nothing that go that fast. All right, Esau ain't ready, man.
Later, the Princeton reacquired the target 60 miles away.
So in a matter of...
Like that.
Yeah, it just appeared there. Mm-hmm.
In seconds.
Yeah.
It was 60 miles away.
Mm-hmm.
Later,
See?
another
In
flight.
seconds, 60 miles away, man. All right. Man, just getting... Let me get another precept. All right. When you go to Isaiah 66, all right, because this is a part of our salvation, man. We should be getting lit up in the spirit when we hear this. The Lord gonna come and say what the Lord gonna do what he said, man. He gonna deliver us, man. Isaiah 66, starting at verse 13, it says, "As one whom his mother comforteth, so will I comfort you, and ye shall be comforted in Jerusalem. And when ye see this, your heart shall rejoice, and your bones shall flourish like an herb. And the hand of the Lord shall be known toward his servants, and his indignation toward his enemies." Y'all, Esau, Elam, Moab, Ammon. Let me put it in layman's terms. You Chinese, you Arabs, you white folks, all of you heathens, you African heathens, all of y'all, man. Y'all the enemies of the Lord, man, okay? Even 2/3 of our people is the enemy of the Lord on his side, okay? But ultimately, if you're an Israelite, even if you look like the other nations, well, guess what? You're not an enemy per se. On this side, you could be if you're not of the elect, but eventually you'll come in the kingdom, okay? Verse 15, "For behold, the Lord will come with fire, and with his chariots like a whirlwind, to render his anger with fury and his rebuke with flames of fire." All right? And that's going to be the end game, man. Let me let some of this play.
The crew encountered what they believed to be the same object and briefly locked onto it with a targeting camera before it zipped off again.
They didn't get a visual on it, but they did get this FLIR
video.
footage, the forward-looking infrared.
So you've got the infrared image
Right.
Yes.
and your eyesight
Yes.
and the Princeton
The radar.
all saying there is something out there.
Yes.
The Princeton had been tracking the anomalous objects for days. Dietrich says they were unarmed.
I felt the vulnerability of not having anything to defend ourselves, to not having any rounds, anything on the rails. If this was, in fact, a hostile threat, and we were engaged, I felt vulnerable, and then I felt confused when it disappeared.
Dietrich says she briefed superiors about what they all saw. In no time, the story of their encounter spread quickly.
Rumors like that spread within seconds. I would say with less than 30 minutes, the entire ship knew this happened.
And what was the reception like?
I actually thought it was kind of funny and started giving us a lot of grief.
Ridicule.
Yeah.
Ridicule.
Yeah.
Yeah. They made cartoons, and on the ship's TV, they played Men in Black and Independence Day and Signs.
So
And
they made fun of it.
Oh, yeah.
Did anybody take it seriously?
Yeah, I believe the Admiral staff made a few phone calls, but that was the extent of it.
The story will continue after.
See, they got ridiculed, but it's going to be a time where everybody going to be a believer. All right? Let me end off on this. All right, because wait, you notice in Isaiah 66, let's go back real quick. Got a couple points I want to make. You notice in Isaiah 66, all right, in verse 15, it says, "For behold, the Lord will come with fire and with his chariots like a whirlwind to render his anger with fury and his rebuke with flames of fire." See? All right. Now, when you go to 2nd Esdras, all right, 13, and I'm going to start at the top. It says, "And it came to pass after 7 days, I dreamed a dream by night, and lo, there arose a wind from the sea, that it moved all the waves thereof. And I beheld, and lo, that man waxed strong with the thousands of heaven." Y'all was shy, man. "And when he turned his countenance to look, all the things trembled that were seen under him. And whensoever the voice went out of his mouth, all they burned that heard his voice, like as the earth faileth when it filleth the fire." See, and them chariots got that laser that's on another level, man. That concentrated fire that's going to come out and burn people to just ashes, man. You know what I'm saying? Just disintegrate. You know what I'm saying? You would get just flat out disintegrated. All right. Verse 5, "And after this I beheld, and lo, there was gathered together a multitude of men out of number from the four winds of the heavens to subdue the man that came out of the sea." All right. And this is, you know, Russia, America, they all gonna come together. All right. Because now they like, all right, we got to come together to fight this. All right. But what's going to happen? Verse 6, "But I beheld, and lo, he graved himself a great mountain and flew upon it." That's that chariot. That's the fathership, man. That great mountain. Talking about Yahushua. "But I would have seen the region or place whereout the hill was graven, and I could not, because it was so large, man." And there's been reports of chariot sightings that was like 3 times bigger than the earth. All right. Verse 8, "And after this I beheld, and lo, all they which were gathered together to subdue him were sore afraid, and yet durst fight." And see, the Lord gonna put the spirit on these people, on these heathens, all right, to fight so they can get smashed. "And lo, as he saw the violence of the multitude that came, he neither lifted up his hand nor held sword nor any instrument of war, but only I saw that he sent out of his mouth as it had been a blast of fire." See that laser, them lasers. "And out of his lips a flame and breath, and out of his tongue he cast out sparks and tempests." See, and that lines back up with Isaiah, you know, 66 and 15, when he said to what? He gonna come in his chariots like a whirlwind to render his anger with what? Fury, and his rebuke with fire, flames of fire. All right, verse 11. "And they were all mixed together, the blast of fire, the flaming breath, and the great tempest, and fell with violence upon the multitude which was prepared to fight, and burned them up every one, so that upon a sudden of the innumerable multitude nothing was to be perceived, but only dust and smell of smoke. When I saw this, I was afraid." Ezra was afraid, man, when he seen all, just imagine the Chinese army, the U.S. army, the Russian army, and all the armies in between come together. That's a innumerable multitude. You can't really, you can number it, but it's a lot. Okay, it's a lot, man. Guess what? All them turn to what? Dust. This is the end game for y'all, man. This is the end game. Okay, this is the end game, man. All right, that fire, man, with that rebuke, with that fire. All right, this the end game, man. And see, this is part is just uplifting because these chariots, Lord willing, we are part of that number. Okay, all right, that's a part of our salvation. Okay, because even when I had went to remember when I had went to Jeremiah and even Wisdom of Solomon 5, man, I want to make this point. When I went to Jeremiah 16, okay, what did it say? What did it say? All right. It says, therefore, behold, the days come, said the Lord, that it shall no more be said, the Lord liveth that brought up the children of Israel out of the land of Egypt, but the Lord liveth that brought up the children of Israel from the land of the north and from all the lands whither he had driven them, and I will bring them again into their land that I gave unto the fathers. See, this is part of our salvation, these powerful vehicles, man, from Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. Lord willing, man, we be a part of that number. This is how we gonna get into our land. And this is how we're gonna flee from the destruction. See? And you already see in verse 2, just getting to the point, it said what? When they see it, they shall be troubled with terrible fear and shall be amazed at the strangeness of his salvation, so far beyond all they look for. See? And this is these vehicles are gonna be responsible, okay? This is what the Lord is going to be responsible, but these vehicles, the chariots, are going to be the tools used, okay, for the salvation of the children of Israel in this second Exodus, man. That's why when you go to Revelation, you hear they talk about the fire and the tempest and the, because the missile's gonna hit this boy. We gonna flee all of this, man. We gonna have to get up out of here. All right. So when you go to Revelation, all right, chapter 15, what do it say? It says, I'm going to start at the top. And I saw another angel, and I saw another sign in heaven, Slakia, great and marvelous, 7 angels having the 7 last plagues, for in them is filled up the wrath of the Most High. And I saw as it were a sea of glass mingled with fire. See? And them that had gotten the victory over the beast and over his image and over his mark and over the number of his name stand on the sea of glass, having the harps of the Most High. See, and that's the elect looking down. Because when you I'm pretty sure a lot of y'all that flew a plane. When you fly a plane and you look down, you can just see down the land. It look different when you over the water. Okay, so imagine the water. Okay, it's like glass mingled with fire because of all the destruction. All right. And okay, verse 3, and they sing the song of Moses, the servant of the Most High, and the song of the Lamb, saying, great and marvelous are thy works, Lord, power almighty, just and true are thy ways, thou King of saints. All right. And the saints is the Israelites. Okay, on this side, the elect, okay, and see the song of Moses, okay. Think about it. When the first Exodus happened, all right, we sung, and then on the second Exodus, we're gonna sing again. Lord willing, we be a part of that number. All right, we gonna sing again, man, because we gonna be out of that destruction, man. Plus Babylon gonna be getting destroyed, and we gonna know, man. We got none. We the elect. Man, that's got to be a heavy feeling, man. Whomever be on them chariots, man, they going to get that heavy feeling, man. It's going to be a time of weeping and happiness, man. All right. That's going to be a real heavy moment right there, man. And Lord willing, we be a part of that number. So I just wanted to bring that out. Lord willing, it was edifying to the next lesson. Shalom.